Ozzy wants to let his presence be known. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, Katie was like, you can take his jingle bell off, and that's not going to quiet his meow, though.
No.
Why not?
And why would you want to? Oz, man. Welcome to the Savor the Burn podcast. I'm your host, co-host Jonathan. Across the table from me is Mr. W2.
Good evening.
And it looks like tonight we are doing a head-to-head review of something we already love and something we haven't tried out yet.
And I don't know if I would call this a head-to-head review. This is just tasting of their offerings. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm a little surprised it has taken us this long to get around to them, because it seems like, if not every episode, quite a few episodes, we end up talking about them at some point.
We do. We do. And it's such a classy little joint, for where it is. And I really love the place. We just got a chance to visit there a couple days ago with my son, and we got an old-fashioned and a La Petite Mort. The Little Death is what they call it. It's got a little rosebud floating around in there. I had to tell a friend of mine I posted a picture of it on Facebook, and a friend of mine from way back, he was like, "What's that red thing floating in the drink?" I wanted to tell him like it's raw hamburger, but it was just a tiny little rosebud. It's an eyeball. 'Tis the season. Get spooky.
With as much as we've talked about them and our experience down there, you learned that their old-fashioned actually has a element that we just didn't realize.
Did not realize it. They put a couple drops of something. I don't know if it's a simple syrup or if it's or it's some kind of bitters, but it's smoked.
Yeah. So
they torch the shit out of the lid and then cap it right on there.
So after we talked, I went online. Their website is very, very minimal when it comes to information. It's very hard to find a whole lot of anything on their own website, which is it's kind of a bummer. But dug a little deeper. I found a couple of review sites that talked about their best old-fashioned in Kansas City old-fashioned, and they put a couple drops of orange bitters on the stave.
That's what it is?
And then smoke it. Yep.
Okay.
So, the next time we do a smoked cocktail, I think I'm going to add a couple orange bitter drops to the wood shavings before I smoke them. See what happens.
Damn good idea.
Yeah.
And speaking of their website, if you want to check out their website, you can follow the link posted in the liquor cabinet on savortheburn.com.
Yeah.
And you can follow a link straight to it. Just find the West Bottoms Whiskey Company bottles and click right on over.
Yeah, something that I did not know. I learned today when I was looking into a little bit of their history and all that, and it kind of surprised me because they are way more recent than I was expecting. Apparently, their parlor down in the West Bottoms was originally a train depot for John Deere and the Oliver Tractor Company in the 1890s.
Wow, that building's been there a while.
Yeah, which I kind of knew a lot of the West Bottom area does date back that far.
I didn't know it went that far back.
But the piece that I did not know is West Bottom Whiskey Company is only been around since 2021.
That I did not know either.
Or at least as far as moving in and occupying an established date down in the West Bottom. So,
Yeah.
That's pretty recent.
They had to have been going, at least distilling earlier because of the whole, you have to have age in your whiskey and your bourbons. But this isn't a bourbon, though, is it?
No, this is just a whiskey.
Yeah.
More specifically, it is their Kansas City whiskey.
Kansas City, aged in a sherry cask, right? And that's what makes it Kansas City.
Their information says that Kansas City whiskey is a pre-prohibition style of blended American whiskey based on the process of rectification, the blending of up to 2.5% sherry into the whiskey.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And then it also goes on, it doesn't give a whole lot of information, but it does say that they they blend a combination of 3-year-old rye and a rye-heavy bourbon, along with a dry Oloroso sherry, which is
Sounds
from
about
Spain.
right. Huh.
And it says, the result is a beautiful sipping whiskey with a warm, spicy front and a smooth, earthy, fruity finish.
It is pretty damn smooth, especially for a 94 proof.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to look that up too because I was not really sure. And 94, that's a good proof.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you say we get some on the nose here? Smells sweet, vanilla-y.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of oak.
Mm-hmm. That sherry really comes through on the nose.
Mm.
I mean, you can really smell a sweetness.
Yeah, sweet. Definitely good. And fruity.
Mm-hmm.
Lightly fruity in some way.
Kind of a florally.
Yeah. Well, here's to you, West Bottoms Whiskey Company. It just continues with the sweetness. The lightly fruity is more developed on the palate. You got, if there's rye in there, there's a hint of it.
Yeah. It definitely has a nice peppery.
Mm-hmm. And it's balanced well with that sweetness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some of these can be oversweet.
Yeah.
As far as whiskey goes. And you know me, I'm a big fan of sweet shit. But this is perfect for my palate.
I think the peppery element to it makes it more of maybe a butterscotch than a caramel.
Yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, like drinking this, just sipping on this neat, it really, like I would never think that this would even go well in a cocktail just because it's so great by itself. But had I not had it in 2 different cocktails, I probably never would have thought to mix it with anything. Actually 3, because I've had it in the horse feather before.
It does make a good horse feather.
And for a horse feather cocktail, you need Kansas City whiskey.
Yeah, I mean...
Or bourbon.
Yeah, doing a little bit of digging into horse feather, found a whole bunch of recipes that say, use a rye, use a whiskey and all that. Most of them make a reference back to Kansas City, or at least that it's recognized that that cocktail was born here in Kansas City.
Well, that's pretty cool. How about the finish? What are you getting on the finish?
The finish it's a nice long finish, I feel.
Yeah, long and sweet.
Not a lot of heat.
No.
Or at least it's not the heat that follows you right on down the throat. It just kind of stays
the
right
heat that
up.
assaults your trachea the entire way down. Oh.
Yeah, this is just kind of a little bit of a warmness that kind of stays right in the back of your throat.
And so does the spice.
Yeah,
Right, of the rye, I'm assuming. It stays with you.
I get some of that oak on the finish.
You're picking that up?
A little bit on the palate, and then definitely right at the end of that finish.
Had I not polluted my palate with grape soda on the way here, maybe I could pick up on that. Sometimes I wonder if, my palate's compromised in some way by what I've had on the way over here. Yeah, it's definitely good. And if y'all want to check out more of our thoughts on it, please continue to listen to our podcast where you're listening to it now and everywhere you can find it, including but not limited to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Samsung, iTunes, Amazon Music, Pandora. Shit, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So if whatever podcast app you're listening to us on and it glitches out, which they do that, you can always find us somewhere else.
One of the things that I'm very excited about, I'm a fan of the whiskey. I'm a fan of the distillery as a whole. Their brand and their marketing and everything. And you've heard me talk about my Buffalo Trace barrel that I got not too long ago from someone else that's a member on our Casey Whiskey Guild.
Oh yeah.
And but not that long ago, a friend of mine, I was out of town, so I had missed it, but a friend of mine had forwarded me a link from West Bottoms from their Facebook page that they were selling some of their spent barrels. And so I was like, well, I don't really need another barrel. I already have this other one, but I thought it was cool. And so I forwarded it on to my lovely wife.
Lovely.
Who very quickly and very promptly replied back, do you need one for your birthday?
Yep, your birthday was right around the corner.
Yeah. And I still haven't gotten around to doing any finishing on it. It's still just kind of sitting here and being a second.
I gotta get some screws for you.
I do need the screws, but I'm also going to do a little bit of a light sand on there to kind of clean up the wood on the outside. I'm thinking about, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I've seen a couple other finished barrels that have kind of inspired me, and I think I'm going to go back to my Buffalo Trace one also. And now that I've stained it, I think I'm going to do a light sanding on top of it, just to kind of give a little bit of a distressed kind of a look and bring some of the lighter colors of the wood back out of it. But yeah, I want to get it cleaned up, want to get it stained, put the rivets all the way around the rings of there, and I think I will probably end up doing a epoxy top on it again, but I'm not 100% sure. I think before I do anything with it, I still need to sand down the other one, and hopefully, crossing fingers, that I'm able to get out the majority of the bubbles that got trapped in there, and maybe the next time, if that goes well, and the final product, by the time I finish that, I'm happy with, I'll probably go ahead and epoxy the top of this, because it's really cool having that nice gloss epoxy top of it, that once we're done with it, you literally take a wet rag and you just wipe it off, and
you don't have to worry about stuff soaking into it, staining it, and getting funky.
And then, the distiller mark on the top of it fading over time because you're scrubbing it and trying to keep it clean and all that stuff.
I wonder how much a full barrel of one of these things would cost, like pre-aged. Like if we did the Metallica thing with Burn the Gates, and like blasted, a couple albums worth of Burn the Gates at it, in every new single that we come up with for a year.
I like the idea.
We would need a place to do that, because not everybody can handle that shit.
That's true.
Not everybody can handle Lady Gaga. So like,
I don't know. My little man upstairs, he is.
What was the song he was singing?
He is resilient in his love for "Rain on Me" by Lady Gaga. Yep.
I'm unfamiliar with it.
Every single day, at least once, if not multiple times, he requests that. We've had to start telling him, he'll jump in the car first thing in the morning, and before I've even turned the key, he'll say, "Can I listen to Rain on Me?" And we've had to resort to telling him, Lady Gaga's still sleeping.
But Lane Staley's awake. Here's Rain When I Die. I think it's gonna rain. Oh, when I die. That's the best Lane Staley I can come up with right now.
I like it.
A little light registration, falsetto, whatevs.
So, from a suggestion and an idea from your son, the last time we got together, every week I put together our agenda, put together some notes on what we're tasting and all that stuff. And then we also have been using that as kind of our scratch pad for our various ratings and whatnot. But, he had the idea of, you should mount a monitor up, which I didn't necessarily want to mount a monitor.
Yeah, it'd be kind of
hard. But
might drop the resale value.
Well, put a little bit of toothpaste in the holes and repaint.
Yeah, there you go.
But I go through a lot of paper printing our agendas out there, and so anyway, I thought it was a great idea, because I'm all about digital. So and I have the adapter for my iPad to extend it out to a secondary monitor. So I had a monitor that was not in use, so I pulled it down to the table, hooked it up so we both can kind of just see it. So instead of having our printed agendas, it's digitally now. And so, which means that because of that, I'm going to write down, actually, I guess I could just edit it right there because it's a Google Doc on there, but I think I'm going to old school it and write it down.
Now, if I remember right, it does have the composite cork.
Yes.
And from what a little bit of reading up I've been doing, is the composite cork is actually way better for the bottle than the
cork.
Natural cork. Yeah, because natural cork can soak up the whiskey or bourbon, whatever the spirit, and it can rot it out. It'll just eat it. Like if you store it on its side, it'll eat the damn thing.
Absolutely will.
But composite corks last way longer, even though they never really suggest that you store it on its side.
Right.
It's either that or the plastic spin-off cap like Jim Beam. And once again, we were first introduced to West Bottoms Whiskey Company the day we had the Burn the Gates photo day. And we met up there. Was it your idea to meet there?
I think
sure
so.
It
Yeah,
was.
I think so.
And where did you hear about them?
I'd been hearing about them for a while. I just had, and I think I had tried it by then, but I had not visited their actual parlor, and so it was on my list to do there, and so I was just kind of, hey, let's make this happen.
Yeah, there's a cool place to check out. Let's go check it out. There were a bunch of strangers there too, I remember, because I kept buying them drinks.
Out of town.
Out of towners.
Yeah. We met some good people there, and I mean, it was cool. We you walk in the front door, and it's a very skinny kind of a kind of a space.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the spaces down there are like that, and they've got the very, very tall ceilings. Well, in this space, they've kind of cut part of the upper floor out, and then did the long staircase up to it, giving it kind of a loft kind of a space, kind of a look where they've got some old Victorian type furniture up there, and little bar ledge that overlooks the down below. So it's just got really cool vibe to it with the exposed red brick on both sides of it, and
they painted it all black.
Have they painted it black now?
It's all black now.
Okay.
It might have been red when we went there before, but it's all painted black now.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
Painted black.
Like your soul.
Like my soul.
But we, I remember sitting down and pulling open picking up their menu, and right there on their cocktail menu, it says, I would have swore I remember it saying world's best old fashioned, but when I did some online research on there, everyone said that it is the best old fashioned in Kansas City.
Well, in Kansas City's your world.
Right. And apparently the couple different reviews said that, kind of quoting or talking with the founder, that started kind of as a joke, but it kind of stuck, and they ended up winning one of the yearly pitch awards for it. And so they printed it in their cocktail menu, and
very cool.
We called them out on there before they had even served us. We're like, "What is this business right here?"
Yeah,
and
says who?
Yeah, right. And they brought them, and boy, they were not kidding.
Yeah, they shut the mouths of two critics right there.
Great old fashioned, and so then we began to talk their ear off until I got all the information to go home, and all right.
She'd answer a couple questions for you, and then she'd answer a couple for me, and the whole time you're just jotting down answers.
Yep.
I'm going to reverse engineer this sumbitch, but now you might have the final nail in the coffin as far as that recipe, that copycat recipe goes, because you'll be able to reverse engineer the shit out of that. I swear, I do not remember it being smoked.
I don't either. And I guess to be fair, we were sitting up in the loft area. We were busy talking amongst ourselves, and so by time the cocktails were made, put on a serving tray, brought up the stairs to us, if they were smoked,
we would have had no idea.
Yeah, they clearly were not smoked table side.
Definitely not.
Which
we would have seen the smoke.
Yeah, which I don't know. I'm a huge fan of smoked cocktails. And there is definitely some residual flavor that comes from smoking a cocktail. But I would say 65+% of smoking a cocktail is presentation. It's show.
Yeah, had they left a little smoker cap on there when they brought it up to us, we'd be like, what is this? This is amazing.
Yeah. Everywhere I've ever gone and ordered a smoked cocktail, they bring it over to the table, they torch it there at the table, or at least, if it's already been torched, the cap is still on there, so when they set it down there, they pop the cap off to release the
And we've seen that on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook Reels, and YouTube Reels. Speaking of YouTube Reels, check out our YouTube channel. Every subscriber between now and Black Friday has a chance to win this bar toolkit that we're giving away. It's like a $40 or $50 giveaway thing that we're doing, and I think it's super cool. I cracked the seal on it and I opened it up and I looked at it, but we haven't used it yet. And I think we're going to use it. Once we use it, I'll have to buy another one that we'll give away. But that's all fine and dandy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so yeah, that it's all in the presentation. Like, I'm surprised that they wouldn't have brought that up there to us, unless they have a limited number of little smoker caps.
Sure.
But even with that, she could drop them off and pull the caps off and then take them with her.
Yep.
Or he could, whoever it is, whoever it is that's serving them.
So now that I've read that, actually, I mean, you stated that, and then when I went and researched it, I read about that, and that's where I found out about the orange bitters doused on the stave and then smoked. It's got the wheels turning, and so here pretty soon, I'm probably going to add that to my West Bottoms old-fashioned style to try that out. And my smoker, you put in the shavings in the little basket, and I think I might just put a little bit of orange bitters in there with
a couple drops in there.
Yep. Which makes a lot of sense, because how many of Instagram videos have we seen where someone has taken espresso the orange peel inside the glass and then put a match to that to caramelize the sugar with the orange oils. I think there's definitely something to that.
I think you're right. Any closing thoughts on this here fantastic offering for West Bottoms Whiskey Company?
I love it. It's local, so it's gonna get an extra point right there off the bat before I've even tasted it.
Yeah,
because gotta support hometown.
Yeah, I got the hometown pride.
But it's fantastic, and it was actually that visit to West Bottoms that we learned that there was such a thing as Kansas City style whiskey. I had no idea that we had our, there's Irish whiskey, obviously. I had no idea that there was a Kansas City style whiskey.
Yep. And ever since then, we've really been enjoying this stuff.
Yep.
For sure.
So I pulled from their website also this particular, their original, the West Bottom Whiskey Company Kansas City whiskey. Over the years, the couple years that they have been established, they have won a gold at the Las Vegas Spirits Awards. That's the annual international competition. They took gold in 2021. They took a double gold in 2021 and 2022 in Denver at the International Spirits Competition. And then just recently, they posted that they took first place, another gold medal in the best Missouri whiskey category, and that's this year. So pretty exciting.
That is pretty exciting. Well, what did you get for the nose? I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 3 3/4.
3 3/4. So we're
right there,
running right on schedule. On the palate, because it was everything I expected, and it's always and then some. I gave it a 4 1/4.
I gave it a 4.
You gave it a 4. Did you also give finish a 4? Because I gave it a 4 1/4.
I gave it a 3 3/4 for the finish.
3 3/4.
Yeah,
okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed the finish on there. I just didn't feel like there was anything. There was no wow factor, so that's why I'm just not quite pressing the 4.
Okay. Bottle presentation, I gave it a 4. I probably should have rated it higher because it's a cool bottle.
I feel the same way. I probably should have rated it a little bit higher. Also, I gave it a 4.
Okay.
It's not an overly tall bottle, but it's kind of front to back. It's kind of squished a little bit, so which is great when you're making. For my birthday recently, I did a freezer door batch, old fashioned batch, and I used one of their old bottles for that, and it's perfect for storing it in the refrigerator because it does not take up that much space because it's nice and slender.
Yeah, it's like a shouldered flask style bottle. Slight taper from top to bottom.
Flask is the right word, and it's heavy bottom, so you got a lot of glass on the bottom of it. It's very substantial.
It doesn't have that short stubby neck like we had on.
The lead slinger.
Lead slinger, yeah.
And back to I mentioned I love their branding. Everything that they do, they put their Murdoch guy, the little guy, a little bit of a steampunk, little bit of upper crust. Aristocrat kind of a guy with his monocle and his top hat and his
bolted on steel jaw.
Right, bolted on steel jaw. his nice and prim and proper trimmed mustache and bow tie, and love it.
Yeah, and again, you guys want to see this? We've got pictures of it up on savortheburn.com /liquor cabinet. Just check it out. any old time, then from there you can click the West Bottoms Whiskey Company site link and head straight over there. So for me, all that added up with a 4 on the nose, 4 1/4 on palate, 4 1/4 on finish, 4 on bottle presentation. I added all that up and divided it in half, and that gave me the overall presentation of 8 1/4. So where does that put you, Mr. W2? Because I saw you over there doing the math.
Yep. So I started out doing the math, and I was just like, I messed something up just because I was trying to cheat and go quickly and make some shortcuts, and so I was like, fuck it. Got my phone out, calculator. I ended on 7 3/4.
Okay.
And what was yours again?
8 1/4.
8 1/4.
Yeah, 8.25.
All right.
Yeah, so we're in the same ballpark. We have no complaints. We have no complaints on it, and we definitely enjoy it. I feel like maybe I should have rated it higher. At least 8.5, 9. But when we're doing this rating system, it really it takes it out of the ballpark estimate and puts it more in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, we go up against who was it? Vegas, Denver. You go against their ratings, and they won best. They won gold in Missouri rating in 2021. Like they won gold there. We're just a couple guys in a
double gold in 21 and 22 in Denver.
Just a couple guys sitting in the Savor the Burn studios, being harsh critics for no fucking reason at all. Because we really do enjoy it. It's all right, I guess. But yeah, we definitely enjoy it. It's really good. So definitely check it out. If you're not from Kansas City and you want to check out the city, put this on your must go.
I think it's a must.
It's a must visit location.
Well, it's not only just a great whiskey. But I mean, just it's about the experience. I don't know how
else. If you go to
to
their parlor,
yeah,
you're going to get the experience. You're going to see exactly what we're talking about. That little loft area with the decor, the way it is. There's more seating underneath that loft area.
There
behind
is. And
the kiosk
they have
bar.
a small little like gift shop kind of a area back there, and also too they do tours. Their distillery is actually attached through the backside of that underneath part of the parlor.
I haven't been back there.
I have not done one of their tours yet, but one of these days I'd like to do that. Go down there, have some drinks, do the tour, probably have some more drinks.
Yes, make a fool of ourselves, hang out with the Easter Bunny again. On Burn the Gates photo day, it was like Easter weekend or something.
Something like that,
and
yeah.
You were close to it, and there was somebody dressed up as an Easter bunny out there, and I'm like, throw horns, we're taking pictures. I got a pocket full of whiskey. We should hang out, you and me, Bunny Man. Bunny Man wasn't having it, but I did get an egg full of candy. But it was pretty fun. So here, sitting next to the original West Bottoms Whiskey Company whiskey, we've got a brand new bottle just opened. The only thing that's not stock, I guess, is the little pour spout that you put in there, which is a good idea.
Yeah.
Helps keep it metered and helps keep it from splashing everywhere. But this offering is the West Bottoms Whiskey Company Maple Cask Finished Rye Whiskey. And if you've listened to us any length of time, you know that I'm a fan of rye whiskey. And W2 here, it took him a while, but he hopped on the rye train way before I came along, of course.
So I did not get a chance to try, and I completely missed it. And to my knowledge, I have not seen any floating around, so that they may not even exist anymore. But about a year, maybe a little bit over a year ago, they released a Malbec wine cask version that was parlor only.
And they only had like 75 of them?
Yeah, it was a very limited
release. That's what I thought this was, and they just...
Yeah,
couldn't
there was
sell
kind
it.
of a silverish kind of a same type of labels on the bottles, but it was a little bit more of like a silver kind of a thing. So it kind of separated a little bit. Totally missed the opportunity to snag one of those bottles. I still see it pop up online every once in a while, but I don't. Not for sale, just like review and mentions of it. But then recently they released this one, and at first I was told that it was a parlor release only. I think that's for the most part true, but I have seen it. I see the regular one in nearly every liquor store I go into. So that one's distributing to everywhere. This one, I've seen it in a couple. Very limited, not widely distributed, but I think it's starting to kind of seep out into some of the other
I found
stores.
mine in Hy-Vee liquor.
Okay, there you go.
In I think Lee's Summit. So this one here, where did you find yours?
I got mine the day that I went down to pick up my barrel.
Okay.
I was out of the regular one, so I picked up one of those while I was there, and I was just like, "Yep, give me the maple."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before you run out. So
Right.
I have expectations for this. I expect there to be some kind of mapley tone to it. I expect there to be plenty of rye to go around, probably more so than we had in the original. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying this out.
Now this one, it's a maple cask finished rye. It comes in at 92 proof. So we're just a hair below the thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
The first one. This one is not even listed on their website. I found something on their website that referenced the Malbach finished one, but this one is not on their website, which was driving me nuts because I was like, where's it at? But I did a little bit more research and I found a couple not reviews, but just mentionings of it. So I was able to pull what the proof was and that.
Okay.
Could not find an actual review of this one. So we have nothing. We're flying blind on this one with no
I don't know.
No suggestions.
I don't know. Are we really flying blind? We kind of know what's going on here. But, like the old saying goes, pride goes before a stumble, haughtiness before a fall. I don't do any of those. That nose.
Okay.
That nose has something going on there.
Okay, my first nose, I thought, well, that's it was what I expected from West Bottom whiskey. Mm-hmm. But I first nose, I did not get any maple. My second pass on the nose, full on French toast.
French toast. I love French toast. Yeah, it's vanilla-y. It's sweet. It's got a little bit of maple to it. It's kind of on the back end of the nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, it's sugary, maybe burnt sugary. One thing we didn't talk about with the original and this one is the color difference.
Oh yeah,
it's a darker honey.
Mm-hmm. It's also a little bit more muted.
Muted, okay.
From where I'm sitting, it looks maybe a little bit more honey than amber. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's just a hair darker and not as vibrant.
Yeah. It does have a touch of amber to it. The original is just kind of a, medium light honey, kind of golden color. But the smell, the nose, it's got a lot to offer.
Yeah.
I'm ready to try this on the palate.
Let's do it.
There's the maple.
Yep.
Maple, vanilla. The rye is more pronounced right before it goes into finish town. Man, the sweetness really kicks in on the finish.
I can't quite tell if it's a little bit more of a subtle rye than your typical rye, or is that maple finishing just kind of sweetening and rounding it all out?
I think that's exactly what's going on.
Which I think that's what's going on.
Yeah. Maple has a way of taking things way too far on the sweet side, sweet side of it, because it's natural, and sometimes the natural things are harder to predict.
Yeah.
You can't just meter it out like white sugar and expect it to act the same. It just doesn't, because no tree is the same. And, they're tapping several, thousands or hundreds of trees, and boiling them all down, and you just don't know. Each tree's had a different amount of rain, different amount of sunlight, different amount of competition for this, that, and the other thing. And you never know what you're going to get batch to batch, brand to brand, region to region. So that said, I don't know where they got their maple, but I'm glad they got it.
Yeah.
I think they paid attention to what the fuck they were doing, and they really did this well.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I've had other maple cask finished whiskeys that, like you were saying, they're way over the top.
Yeah.
All you're tasting is that sweetness.
Yeah.
This is a nice, well balanced maple sweet with rye spice.
What I like about it, others will, just because it says maple on the label, they just feel compelled that they have to throw maple in there,
right?
Just to make sure that it is known. This, it's like, have you had maple syrup that was aged in a whiskey barrel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so this might be something that they have taken a whiskey barrel that has had maple aged in it and then aged their whiskey in it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get some of the residual maple syrup that was in there still, but the way the oak and the maple is married, it's that to me I think is the taste profile that people should be going after, that distilleries should be going after, and I think that's exactly what happened here, because on the palate for me it shows up as oak. There's oak and rye.
Yep.
And it's still sweet all the way
oak
through.
is stronger on this one.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think the rye almost takes a back seat because the oak and the maple, or the sweetness from the maple, is stronger there on the palate. But poor Ozzy. Ozzy's yowling at the door. He's like, they forgot about me down here. They're talking about whiskey. Help me.
They're not sharing.
They're not sharing. Sad face. Cat tear. Poor boy. He'll be all right. But yeah, it seems to me like they did it right with when it comes to having the maple part in there. And for me, the maple doesn't really show up until the finish. It takes the rye and it cradles it in its arms like a newborn baby, sets that baby down, and Mama Maple is nothing but sweet through the rest of the finish. This is a very good. I would throw this as a dessert whiskey.
Yeah,
like maybe
I could see that.
Maybe you have like your big block of solid ice cube in your whiskey glass. If you even want whiskey on it, you just throw that in there and just kind of enjoy your evening. Hopefully with a friend or two or three, because I really don't see how this couldn't hang out in a social situation. So on the appearance color, I'd throw it at a kind of a medium to dark honey. The nose on this, one more again. Yeah, I mean you can kind of pick up a little bit on the maple as far as the nose goes, but for the most part, we're talking oak and like a burnt sugar. It's got just I mean you can get some of the rye peppery notes in there, and on the palate. On the palate, there's a slight oakiness. It's sweet, like a sugary sweet, and then you throw the maple sweet on the end and the finish. And I'd say you got yourself a contender for a mighty fine whiskey. I bet as good as the original West Bottoms whiskey is in a cocktail. I'm wondering just how good this is. So maybe I should have checked their menu for a maple rye. Specific cocktail. Now I feel like I missed out on my chance while I was there.
Before tonight, in my head, I was thinking, there's no way we're going to do an old fashioned with this one. There's no way we're going to do a horse feather with this one, because it's maple, so it's going to be sweet. It's going to be, it's anything we would do to it would be too much. I don't know if I feel that way anymore.
Are you second guessing it? Are you second guessing it so much so that you're going to go off? You're going to go off the rails and do the save for the burn thing.
Well, I don't know. What do you think?
I think for the old fashioned, definitely.
We have recently switched up our old fashioned go-tos from being maple syrup to the Demerara,
and this would
simple syrup. So this kind of, if we still made our old fashioned with the Demerara syrup, this would add another level to it.
I would say, like, if it calls for a full ounce of Demerara, you should, if you're going to use this whiskey, just throw in a quarter ounce.
Oh, it's basically just a bar spoonful.
There you go. Oh, that's what it calls for, is a bar spoonful.
Yeah, that's the way I've been making them. What I usually do is I use the bar spoon, I fill it, and then I let it go a little bit more. So I go a little bit heavy-handed on it. If I use this one, maybe I'm a little bit more conservative with it. Yeah,
I would go with that, because a bar spoon plus a little bit more might be a half ounce.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Ozzy? Thanks for meowing on prompt there. Not.
Oh yeah, we got some ratings to do, don't we?
Yep.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever needed to do this, but I feel like I need just a little bit more.
That's all right. I didn't
for my assessment.
I didn't really put a whole lot in there.
I mean, We've tried some that we have felt the subtleties were just, for the lack of a better word, and too subtle.
Right.
But that maple cask is not overbearing at all.
No.
It is a nice, balanced, subtle addition to this profile.
And you would think like we've already said something to the effect of, other distilleries will feel like, it seems anyway, that they feel like they have the need to push maple on it, like, whether it's an artificial flavoring or they just dump a bunch of maple into it just to make damn good and sure that people get maple, because people, when you label something maple, they have expectations.
Right.
I walked in here with an expectation.
Yeah.
I didn't, what I got my expectations were fulfilled. It's just it didn't happen until the finish.
Well, I tell you what,
and I'm okay with that.
we took
am.
A trip several years ago to we started in Buffalo, and we wandered up through Niagara and eventually to Toronto. A little hockey trip that we did. But I tell you what, taking a trip through Canada is serious about their maple syrup.
Yeah, it's like they're one of the major exporters for it, aren't they?
Yeah.
I hear they also take their hockey very seriously.
They are very serious about their hockey. We did a lot of breweries on that trip, and I will never forget one of the breweries that we went to. It was somewhere between Niagara and Toronto, but we stopped in at this brewery specifically. I think that was one of the breweries that we specifically went to because they had a vegetarian poutine that we wanted to try. And
poutine is like fries with a brown gravy and cheese curds, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so the brown gravy would have to not be beef.
Yep.
Beef stock.
Yep. It was pretty decent. But the thing that I will never forget, especially being from Midwest, born and raised in St. Louis specifically, I look across the bar and they had 10, 12 of their own beer taps going. Mm-hmm. And then on the end, they had a big sign that said guest tap. So they had a dozen of their own taps for their own brewed beer, and then they also had a tap of a guest tap, so that they would frequently rotate out, right, to other beers or whatever. Mm-hmm. The guest tap that particular time when we were there was Bud Light.
Oh dear. That's that fucking in a canoe.
Can't escape. Bud Light's everywhere.
Bud Light is everywhere. Have you started your rating?
I guess I need to get to that.
Uh-oh. All right. I give mine higher ratings this go around. I think because I do like maple. I'm not the biggest fan of maple, and this thing here, not only does it hit me in the sweet tooth right where I like it, it also doesn't. It also gives me the maple, but it doesn't overpower it. So I think, like you had mentioned, what was it on the nose that you said? French toast.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably recipes for bourbon in the French toast batter.
Sure.
I think this would be perfect. Yeah? Yeah. Katie, are you listening? French toast. Or maybe take out the take the vanilla out and just use this.
Yeah.
Instead of like a teaspoon of vanilla, use like a full ounce of this. Maybe it would be horrible. Maybe it wouldn't. Actually, this, now that I think about it, this isn't too far away from brandy, so this wouldn't...
You think?
Yeah, because some of the brandy I've had is very maple flavored. So this would be great for eggnog, if you like alcohol in your eggnog.
Love eggnog.
I do too. I love eggnog. Haven't found one that I really enjoy with alcohol in it.
And I'm not
right out of the plastic cart or the paper carton.
And I'm never mad about putting a little alcohol in my room.
I think Ozzy agrees.
However, now that I think about it, I think I've only had eggnog with a dark rum.
With rum?
Because I think that's the standard.
Really, I thought it was brandy.
Maybe it's rum or brandy, but
either way, maybe this goes in the cocktail recipe book.
A good whiskey though.
Yeah.
Might push an eggnog over the top.
Yeah, might take it to that fifth base.
Something to look forward to this Christmas.
Yeah, the holiday times. That's probably going to end up as one of our cocktails on the reels.
Put that with our advent calendar.
Yes. Amen, sister. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that. Have you had a chance to order it?
Oh, they're ordered.
They're ordered? Okay. Very cool.
I'm just waiting for them to put a tracking number on that.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, where'd you land on the nose?
All right, on the nose, I landed higher. Boy, your cat. He is enjoying his rubbing times here. So on the nose, I rated it a little bit higher at 4.25.
Okay. I came up a little bit also, but I was right at 4.
Right at 4. So next is palate. Palate, I came up a little bit higher, and I landed at 4.5.
I came up a little higher at 4 1/4.
4 1/4. Look at us. Well, I came up a little bit higher on the finish too at 4.5.
Oh, well, I stayed the same on the finish.
Okay.
Even though I think there's a little maple still on the finish on there, I felt like the finish was on par with the finish of the first one, so I left it at 3 3/4.
Okay.
So both my ratings same on finish.
Okay, so you didn't think it was any better or any worse.
Right.
Okay. I thought it was a little bit better. And on bottle presentation, I think it's a little bit more interesting to see. I mean, you've got the maple leaf on there. The border is a little bit more defined and pronounced. But still on the front, you've still got your classic branding with the what'd you call him?
His name's Murdoch.
Murdoch. Yeah, you still got your dapper man with his top hat, his monocle, and his iron jaw.
Man, okay, I'm not going to change my rating. I'm going to leave it on par with what I gave the first one. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it a 4. Mm-hmm. But I am going to admit that, one, I did not, until second look here, I noticed that the label's the same shape. It's still
right.
kind of a shield, kind of a shape. There is a thicker, dark border on there with an inset gold border that the original does not have. It has the maple leaf.
It does. It's just really hard to see.
Well, it's thinner.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
A lot thinner.
Yep. Good eye. Yeah.
So much so that you would miss it.
Yeah. I just thought it was just a thin hairline of the paper color.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But this one also has kind of a screened back picture of the maple leaf on there. Mm-hmm. Murdoch West Bottoms Whiskey Company is the same. We've got signature finished underneath Whiskey Company versus, which is in a black script font, versus this reddish brown that says signature blend. So that's interesting. So the original is signature blend. This one is signature finished, but as a result of everything, and as a result of Maple Cask finished rye whiskey, obviously is a lot more letters and words than Kansas City whiskey. So it's a little bit smaller font, but to kind of keep on balance with that, they shrunk down the 750 milliliter distinction at the very bottom center,
and shrunk down a little bit of the proof.
Yeah.
It went from 94 to 92. Mm-hmm. Not by a lot, hardly even noticeable.
So no, it's cool. A lot of subtle differences that kind of make that one
much like the Redbreast labels.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I mean, how many times did we look at that bottle and had not realized that? And until I actually was online looking at their entire offering side by side, that's when I noticed, wait a minute, it's a different bird, different position of the bird.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's cool to see those subtleties, because that, to me, that tells me that the distiller is paying attention and they are deliberately making changes for this special offering.
Mm-hmm. And the original bottles used to be more square. I saw that down there at their parlor the other day. I noticed that. I was like, wow, let's open that bottle. He wasn't having it.
The older bottles also, I believe, have a thinner bottom to them. They're not as heavy glassed on the bottom.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So
for whatever that's worth.
What did you give for bottle presentation?
Bottle presentation was a 4.
A 4, okay.
And that gave me an overall of 8.
Of 8. And once again, my bottle presentation was 4 1/4. And my overall presentation altogether and cut in half was 8 3/4.
8 3/4.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I came up a full half point. A full half point? I came up a half point. I came up 0.5 points, whatever words, whiskey on the one versus the other. So I do like this maple rye a little bit better. But I mean, I'm a fan of rye. Mm-hmm. So and it's darker. I like that.
What's interesting to me about it,
added in there, I like that too.
This is a very obvious rye whiskey. Mm-hmm. But what I find interesting is their original one, which is not a rye whiskey, but they blend a 3-year-old rye and a rye heavy bourbon. Mm-hmm. And so,
where's the rye heavy bourbon? I want to try that.
And so because of that, though, clearly the percentages don't quite equate to calling it and categorizing it as a rye, but it's still a very rye forward whiskey. Mm-hmm. And so, to me, the rye differences between the original and this one are pretty subtle. There's enough of a rye difference to distinguish this one from the original one, but it's not a leap that you get from going from Elijah Craig bourbon to High West double rye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good.
There's my extremes.
That's a good extreme. It's a good extreme. And I can fully identify. Right, I can fully tell what you're talking about too. Because recently I just got another bottle of that High West Double Rye, and I made some old fashions with it. And then after that, I made some old fashions with Maker's Mark, and I think the Maker's Mark actually turned out better. And I'm less of a fan of Maker's Mark than I am of.
I am
a lot
too.
Of other
I am too. Maker's Mark is definitely not just my not go to, but typically it's not on my radar because I don't know.
Like it's got a cool red wax dipped top to it, but that doesn't make or break the whiskey to me. Yeah. It adds as far as presentation goes. Yeah, I mean bottle presentation that would definitely get an extra full point, but the taste is just it's like a really harsh sour mash. Mm-hmm. That I'm just not a fan of. It's
been a minute since I've had any Maker's Mark. What has stuck with me and has kind of kept me from going back to Maker's Mark is I remember a very pronounced metallic kind of a element to the profile. Mm.
Yeah, for me, Maker's Mark is my. It's not my go-to. It's my. Is there any other whiskey available? Whiskey.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And even if I'm not in the mood for Irish whiskey at the time, which does happen, dear listener, which does happen, I'd rather just switch to Irish whiskey than put myself through that because I'm usually just drinking it neat and not putting it in a cocktail. But it does work great. It does work great in an old fashioned. So maybe I'll bring the bottle over and we can try it out. Unless you already have some. I don't think I've seen.
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd seen Maker's Mark in your cabinet.
That's the thing too. Is I love old fashions. Mm-hmm. I'm all about old fashions, but I'm also very much so a bourbon old fashioned kind of guy. Ryes are also just as standard of a choice for a old fashioned than bourbon is. Mm-hmm. I just lean towards bourbon because that's what I've alwase kind of done.
Ryes.
I needed to do some more.
I think ryes are better known for their use in Manhattans. Yeah, and
Boulevardier.
I just don't have Boulevardiers. I don't have the ingredients to make those at the house, and that's on me. Well, do you have any closing thoughts on these guys?
Man, I think these are great. Not just because they're local hometown bottles, but they're really good. And now that we have tried the Maple Cask Finish Rye, I see myself going through that bottle really quick and needing to get another one.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got a lot of experiments to do with it.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's going to end up in an old fashioned soon. It's probably going to end up in a horse feather soon. It's going to end up in Ozzy's going crazy. It's going to end up in all kinds of either cocktails or just neat.
I wonder what it would do in a Manhattan. Bottle. That might be a little weird, but
it's got the rye.
I'm gonna try it. It's a rye, so
Yeah, you'll have to doctor the recipe though to point
No, maybe
counterpoint
not.
with the
Yeah.
with the sweetness on it.
I mean, your Manhattan is rye, sweet vermouth, and no, there's no Campari in a Manhattan. Manhattan's bitters, sweet vermouth, and rye.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. So I think, dear listener, if you're not from around Kansas City, but you would like a little taste of what Kansas City's like as far as this whiskey goes, definitely check out the West Bottoms Whiskey Company, what they have to offer. And if you're in the mood for something maybe a little bit sweeter, a little more rye, definitely check out the Maple Rye version of the Maple Cask finished rye whiskey. And it'll definitely it'll turn your head, and it'll make you want to visit. And if you are in the area, anywhere in the region, stop by their parlor. I think they're open noon to fucking 9 or something daily.
Like that, yeah.
I doubt it's 9 o'clock, but
Yeah.
it's maybe noon to 7. I don't know, but every day.
I think it's 9 o'clock, and I think weekends it's a little later.
That would make sense. What doesn't make sense is how I just arbitrarily throw around
But you may be right.
dumbass.
I know they're closed on Mondays
Right? Yeah, most people are. So
because people don't drink on Mondays.
So that's weird. Thursday they're open 10 to 10.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. So they're open till midnight. 11 a.m. to midnight.
I'm not a bit mad about having a cocktail at 10 a.m.
Girls
on a Thursday.
Thursday, motherfucker. But yeah, today they closed at 4. They were open 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And they're closed Sunday and Monday. But
They are closed Sunday. Okay.
They're open at the crack of 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesday. So you can definitely go check that out if you're coming to town. And it's not too far from the Kansas City Symphony. It's not too far from Westport. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, anything in Kansas City really isn't too far from anything else in Kansas City.
And if you know, it's next door to the Beast Haunted House.
It is. It's right around the damn corner there. Mm-hmm. Like around the corner down the road on the other side of that bridge. I'd never even seen the Beast in person, but I walked past it and they were doing some remodeling on the inside. I'm like, oh, they putting that scary shit together in there? But yeah, I could never bring myself to pay that kind of money to go through a haunted house.
So expensive.
Yeah. And so that was in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And I've never been, and it's even more expensive now.
Yeah.
I have been to that exiled Trail of Tears out there in BFE, Kansas somewhere. It's out in Bonner Springs, I believe.
Okay.
But
I don't know if I've been to that one.
There's not a bit of light pollution, but it's like this, you're walking through the woods, and you've got school buses that you have to climb up and into and crawl through, but they're not level. They're like up on a hill.
Oh yeah,
so
of course.
You have to
so
climb,
you slide down into it.
Yeah, if you slip, you're going to slide down. But to make things worse, there are actors in there that just spring to life and just try to scare the shit out of you. So you get through there, and then you got to crawl through a fucking refrigerator and through a dog house, and you're getting yelled at by crazy people. I loved it. I would definitely go back again. I didn't have to pay for the tickets when I went. I won them from, I think, 98.9.
Yeah.
Rock KQRC, but whatever. But yeah, it was free to me, and I'd definitely go back. But my girlfriend doesn't want to go. If I could find the right date, I'll go. Well, okay. Yeah. So so Kansas City definitely has a lot to offer, even though its residents would tell you otherwise sometimes. But Kansas City fucking sucks, man. We just opened up this great, I say we, but Kansas City Zoo just opened up this world class aquarium.
Yep.
We've got the only World War I museum
that thing is so freaking cool.
Yeah, and their exhibits are changing all the time. So every 3 to 6 months or whatever it is, they've got an entirely new set of exhibits that they have out there.
That thing is so cool.
Because there was so much that happened during that war.
And you know what a big Harley guy I am.
Yeah.
They have one of the World War I Harleys. Mm-hmm. The one that they have on display there is one of 2 or 3 in the world.
Wow.
That is 99+% original. It's super cool. It's behind glass. You're not touching it.
Right.
You're not breathing on it.
Right.
But it is super cool.
I've seen it. I've geeked out on it. Yeah. Anyway, so Kansas City's good. It's not just barbecue.
Right.
Now, yeah, we've got world-class barbecue happening here, but it's not just barbecue. So definitely check it out if you're in town. The West Bottom Whiskey Company. Go check them out. And do we have anything else we need to add?
I think that's good.
I think that's good too. So, dear listener, thanks for listening to the Savor the Burn podcast.
Go say hi to Murdoch.
Definitely. That fucking lantern jaw some bitch. Keep listening to us on your favorite podcast app of choice, and even if it's not your favorite podcast app of choice, I'm sure one of your friends that also listens to podcasts would want to hear us too, because we're great. We're cool dudes. We like to hang out and have cocktails. We're in a band together, damn it. Check out burnthegates.com for all the shit happening with the band. We have some singles out probably by the time you're hearing this. Mm-hmm. We've got one, probably two, either 1408 and or Copycat. So definitely check those out. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the Savor the Burn podcast. And no matter who you are, where you are, who you're with, what you're doing, and what you're drinking, dear listener, always remember to keep on burning.